Welcome to today's game.
Come, for we are many legionnaires. Let me tell you how chuffed I am to bits. So, shall we get into the nitty-gritties of today's funny then? So we begin. Right, hello legionnaires. Welcome to the Cypharr show, as usual. This is a nice change of pace, totally nice change of pace. We've come with another form of editing and video presentation, I suppose. So hope you enjoy it. Right, for today, the nitty-gritties for today is what's it called? The Omega Total, the Omega Totality thing. The Omega Totality artifact. It's a new artifact. It's dropping alongside. The new episode on the 24th, the Tuesday reset, after a longer awaited 8-hour cooldown. So we'll be expecting that. So firstly, as you can see, my setup is dare I say, this would be the new meta. You can quote me on it, and that's not a problem. We'll go to court with you and take your money. So that's really fine for me. Would have said that. So we've got Lamont card, we've got solo amplifier, and then the new artifact that we will be talking about today, the Omega Totality. Right. So what does it say? You've got the regular thing. Yeah, it's at rank 200 and already. And you've got the regular. What does it say? Oh, let's just go ahead. It says the Omega Totality grants ability Omega Beam. It grants the ability Omega Beam, and the Omega Beam is a finisher. Now, that being a finisher goes a long way with so for explaining why the new meta, the proposed new meta, would be this set of three. It's called artifacts. That's for DPS alone. Just DPS. Might DPS to be precise. Right? Okay. So let's go. It's vulnerable to interrupt, obviously, but that's the Omega Beam ability is vulnerable to interrupt, which you can counteract. If you don't need to counteract it, but you can counteract with the white mod on the hand. The white mod, can't really remember what the name of the white mod is, but if you go search for hands white mod, channeled empower. Channel is called channeled empowering or something. That's that. So it goes, unleash the power of the Omega Totality, causing damage. Right. If the target is below 35% health, the attack deals extra damage. Right. It hasn't said how much percentage the damage is, but we might see that later going on. And the cooldown for the Omega Beam ability that has been granted, it's 8 seconds, but we'll come to that in a bit. The power cost is 200. It's quite cheap. 200 power cost. Don't really know what the calculation is, but it comes up very, very cheap. It's like one of those abilities that are up to about 0.5 seconds long before it comes off cooldown. You can just spam it with power never going away. Right. So it says embrace finality. Right. So embrace finality is basically the perk of the Omega Totality, that and the ability it grants its Omega Beams. So the embrace finality goes, using superpowers empowers your next use of the Omega Beam. So as you basically, what he's saying is, as you go ahead and you keep using superpowers, just regular superpowers. So this would not work for precision. It might work for precision, but you'd be losing damage since you'd be focusing on weapon damage. This is just ability damage, ability powers. So if you go using 2 superpowers, the damage of the Omega Beams is increased by 30%. Then if you use 4 superpowers, the damage of the Omega Beam is also increased. What happens is the channel time decreased by 50%. So the channel time, so normally it would take quite a few seconds for to channel the full extent of the damage of the Omega Beam. But then if you use 4 superpowers and that 30% increase from the 2 superpowers, the channel time to get the full damage. That's in case you don't have what's it called, some sort of interruption mod or mitigation available for you. If you don't have any of that, it's possible you can get interrupted and the whole damage would not be expressed within the Omega Beam, because it takes a few seconds to express the whole damage. Then if you go using 6 superpowers, you get explodes at the end of the channel, dealing 25% extra damage to nearby enemies. So it will do 25% extra damage to nearby. That's using 6 superpowers. And if you go using 8 superpowers, the finisher damage increased by 25%. Now that's another thing why this is suggested to be the best loadout now, and it goes well with this 3 meta artifacts. So if you remember, you try to recall, it says when using 8 superpowers, the damage is increased by 25%. Finisher damage, remember that finisher damage is increased by 25%. Then the maximum is 10 superpowers. So at 10 superpowers, if you use 10 superpowers, Omega Beam hits all enemies near the target within 10 meters for the final duration. So at the last minute, it does an AoE damage for all the enemies, and you can just imagine how the loads of damage is, how the damage which is being missed. So before we get to the rotation and the loadout, how about me explain to you why this is the meta, and you would see it in action. And before that, again, let me just explain to you. You would see just around the Omega Beams when you pick it up from the loadout box, the loadout ability tray. You would see, and it's in your loadout now. When you pick it from the from the traits, and it's in your loadout now. First, the Omega Beam has a general sort of gray, sort of dim white color, but then when you use 2 abilities, it flashes. That's just like a ring around the ability itself flashes white. That's to tell you you've used 2 abilities. And then when you use 4 abilities, it would then go ahead and flash blue. That's light blue. It would then go ahead and flash light blue. And then if you go ahead and use 6 abilities, it will then go ahead and flash not flash, it will just go ahead and flash dark blue. That's to indicate that the primer for the Omega Beams is now at 6 abilities being activated. And then when you go up to 8 abilities being activated, where it becomes the finisher has been increased by 25%, it becomes green, right? That's the indicator around the ability comes green. Then the final stage, which is using 10 abilities, when you've done that, it becomes golden. So for golden, yellow, dark brown, yellow, gold, I suppose, just say gold. It becomes gold. That means the ability is ready to be sort of activated for the maximum effect of everything that the ability has got to offer. That's the Omega Beams. So remember that. Now you would see that the Omega Beam has been flagged as a finisher, and if you remember, every ability has also got a finisher, right? So now with the Omega Beams activated, put in your what's it called, artifact tray, you essentially have now have two two finishers. So we're on Earth Power now, and Earth Power, you'd see that the finisher for Earth Power is what's it called? The finisher for Earth Power is Sand Blast. So Sand Blast, and Sand Blast has got a 4.4 second cooldown. Remember that, a 4.4 second cooldown. Omega Beams has also got an 8 second cooldown. 8 second cooldown, yeah. And that's the finish, and it's also a finisher. So now you've got 2 finishers, right? You've got 2 finishers, right? That's the Omega Beam, the new ability, the Omega Beam, and the Sandblast, and every other power has got a finisher as well. So remember that. So then we come back to the artifacts, the three main artifacts being the being the meta. Honestly, if you want to take up arguments with me, you can say a solo amplifier might not be necessary, but you can that's at your discretion. You can go ahead and do that. And but the thing is, you're going to have to substitute the heat thingy, the heat what's it called? Heat vision. You're going to have to substitute the heat vision for something else. But the reason why this solar amplifier is here now is to sort of allow you put for your white mode. Yeah, see, that's all these three artifacts working hand in hand. So for the white mode here, that what you want to do is put the thingy maximum damage or something, right? So you want the 2% damage rather than going for the channeling, the non-interrupt channeling thingy, rather than going for that. It's a long shot. It's an expensive thing, expensive way around it. But rather than going for that, you just go for the solar amplifier, which is another ability that really works well with this loadout. So what you get from the loadout, from the solar amplifier, is the installed empowered channeling tactical mod. So you don't have to put that in the hands anymore, right? And then you have 10% eye beam. Everything is just so good with it's just a general all-round bonus for the all-round general bonus for the solar amplifier being in there. And then you come over here, and then you see that the Lamont card, yeah, what the Lamont card does is cast a finisher attack and places a stack of doom on your target for 1 minute. Casting again refreshes the stack duration upon target reaching 35% health. Impending doom triggers dealing damage based on the number of doom stacks, and up to about 70% stacks, right? So now the first perk you get for the Lamont card and the Omega beams as well is that using Lamont card you reduce the cooldown of your finisher. So the cooldown of your finisher is then reduced by 25% and increases the damage by increases the damage of the finisher as well by 10% on targets below 35%. Do you get that? Increases the damage of impending doom. That's all Lamont card thing. So if you remember this, these are the perks that the finisher gets. So basically, if you come to Omega beams, yeah, besides all these other bonuses of the Omega beams, yeah, since the Omega beam is flagged as a finisher, the Omega beams will also get a 25% reduction on the cooldown of the Omega beam and a 10% increase on the damage of the Omega beam because it's a finisher. Do you get that now? You see now it's coming together, right? So instead of the cooldown of the Omega beams being 8 seconds, the cooldown of the Omega beam becomes 6 seconds because 25% of 8 is about 2, so that's 2 seconds. And the same thing goes for the finisher. That's the regular finisher, or the regular ability finisher, which is where is it? Let's just go Loadout. The regular ability finisher, which is Sandblast. You can see Sandblast here. So 4.4 second ability, and 25% of that comes up to about a certain percentage, but about 1.2 something like that. So it would then reduce this. It would then reduce the cooldown of the Sandblast to about honestly, haven't done this calculation. We can really do it real quick for you. Come up to calculator, and then we go 4.4 seconds. That's the cooldown, and then you multiply that by 25%. So that's 1.1. So basically, you're taking off 1.1 second off the Sandblast, which makes it a regular 3.1 second ability. You know, so that's the first benefit of this combo of abilities. That's the third benefit of the abilities of the combos that you've put together with this 3 artifacts being together, right? What else do we have? That's a 25%. Right, and then if you remember, now this is the next one. When the omega omega totality the omega totality artifact then works back in hand. This would be the fourth perk for the three what's this called, the three artifacts working hand in hand. So the fourth perk would be that the omega, if you look at the 8, when you've got 8 superpowers, yeah, when you've used 8 superpowers and you see that the omega beam indicators turn green, that means finisher damage increases by 25%. It works. Trust me, it works. We've done the testing. So now, when the omega beams is green, and you use Sandblast, which is a finisher as well, you use Sandblast before using the omega beams. The finisher of that's the ability. The Sandblast is also increased by 25%. That's at this 8 superpowers point. So let's go into the what's it called? Let's go into the loadout quickly. I'll just show you what's got the loadout. This is the loadout, and this is how we've set it up. We've got this. We've got Rumble Crush, because we got Rumble Crush is really nice. We do like the move, but Rumble Crush you can substitute for anything you like. That's your prerogative. But definitely you want to use the finisher Sandblast. You also want to use amplified heat vision, right? And then you want to use freezing breath, right? And the reason why we've gone ahead using 2 iconic abilities, yeah, is that it's the counter for the omega beams does work with ticks of abilities. You know, it's been mentioned by Obsidian that it works with combos, but in addition, would like to let you know it also works with ticks, sort of like AOE ticks of certain abilities. It's not too clear how it works, but it does work. So if you use amplified amplified heat vision, it works as about 2 or 4 counter to the omega, reaching its maximum of 10 using 10 superpowers. So we'll go ahead and show that in counting. Not too sure, but it varies sometimes. Same thing with freezing breath, and freezing breath as well does some sort of routing and routing. All that does count as an ability, as a separate ability to count towards the omega beams, right? So let's go and do this in practice so you can have a look. So this is the loadout. It's not properly put well. Something's missing. I suppose we can use. I thought maybe we could not use a reward sidekick with this ability. Oh. Alright. Right. Oh, this is the proper loadout. Oh, okay. It's I think either we've not put the elixir, but this has nothing to do in a regular game. You will definitely be using bottled CT cola, but right now, oh there, we deleted the alright, you know what, it doesn't really matter. What we want to do is put that right there to make the slot look professional. So we'll put bottled CT cola right there. Right, that's the typical loadout. Right, that's the typical loadout. And what you want to do, we've got somebody here, that's fine. We can all share. So what you do is the loadout is you can see the counter for the omega beams, right? Yeah, the omega beams has got 0. It's on white. So the first thing you want to do is start with the rotation. Right? So the rotation goes Rumble Crush. That's 1. And we'll get to this, but the finisher, for some reason, devs, if he, I think it's a bug. It's definitely a bug. But the finisher of this, either the finisher of this power or any other power, probably, it doesn't count as a tick, and I don't know why, but that's just not right. So maybe look into it. Finishers don't count as superpowers, adding to the ticks of the omega beams. So we've done one over there, and let's just use the omega beam to reset the whole thing. Right, so the whole thing is reset now, so we start all over. So we can start all over from the beginning. So we've got, remember, we've got to get to 10 for the Omega Beam to be fully primed, and then we can fire up the Omega Beam. So you go rotation 1, Rumble Crush. Rotation. The second ability is the finisher. You can use that, but it doesn't count. Don't know why. They've got to fix that now. You use what's it called? Heat Vision, amplified Heat Vision, and then it goes and it has put it up to number 2. It's white now, and then you use now if you look closely, you would have seen that just Freezing Breath has brought it up from number 2 to number 6. Basically, it is counted as 4 because it has moved from light blue. It has moved from light blue to dark blue. So now we are on 6 superpowers used already. Then you go back. It's a rotation. Then you go back to the start with Rumble Crush, right? So when you use Rumble Crush, using Rumble Crush, you can see that now. This is the perk. You can see that now the Omega Beam is now green. So it being green means that it is now, you've got into the 8 superpowers, and the 8 superpowers is the one that gives you 25% on your finisher. So at this point you want to fire up your finisher again, getting 25% extra damage, right? Typically it should have we were slow on the because we were talking. So when it was green, it has reset back. If you don't use the any ability for a while, for about 15 seconds, for about 15 seconds or 17 seconds maximum, if you don't use the Omega Beam, it will reset back to 0. That's the counter for the ability. It will reset back to 0. So that's that. So what you want to do now, we'll start all over again. And just fire up the Omega Beam to be sure that it's reset to 0, and this time around we'll move a little bit faster, right? So we go Rumble Crush, that's 1. Sand Blast, the finisher, that's 0, does nothing. It does nothing, don't know why. And then you go Heat Vision, that's 2 and 3. So now you've 2, 3, that's 4, and then you use a finger Freezing Breath, taking it 6, 7. Freezing Breath, for some reason, it's already brought it up to 8, and then you use another Sandblast, Rumble Crush. Now since it's at 8, it's got 25% damage bonus to use another finisher. So you pop another finisher, and then this is when after you use the third what's it called? After you use the second amplified Heat Vision, that's where you then fire up the Omega Beam. That's the end of the rotation. That's just where it is. That's simple. When you've done that, you come back and start the rotation again. You go back to Rumble Crush, Sandblast, Heat Vision, amplified Heat Vision. You go to Freezing Breath, Rumble Crush. For some reason, right? Then you use Sandblast, and then you use Heat Vision. It's gold again. Then you fire up Omega Beam. Basically that is the rotation for the, and it is amazing. Don't know what the damage numbers are using the what's it called, the D0 log analysis or all of that, but just with your own common sense, putting these 3 artifacts together is just the meta for now. It's just the best. And for allies, what you want for allies, is, that's my own personal choice. You can do whatever you want for allies, but just to be inclusive, we've gone with Zatanna, because inclusive, you've got to always include the women. It's not a gay function. You don't want none of that. You always want to include the women in everything you're doing, so you know that you're being passively active in sort of societal whatever. Anyway, you want your allies to be Zatanna, for the random 10% tiger, and then you want the typical what's it called, ally meta ally, which is it's gone off. It's the support one is Batman, as is what's it called, Batman who laughs, and typically crypto. So that's for the allies, right? That's for allies. For artifacts, we've been ringing it and saying it from the start. For artifacts, you want Lamont cards. They all work hand in hand. Lamont card, solar amplifier, and omega beams. And to reiterate, Lamont card, you want Lamont card for the 25% decrease in the cooldown of finishers, in the cooldown of finishers. And then you want another 10%. You want another 10% increase. Well, you get 25% decrease in the cooldown and 10%. And let's get away from this. Let's get away from this ridiculous person, so we can get some nice sound on the discussion, because it's quite intricate that you get. It's quite intricate that you get the point of this. Right. So what we're saying here is. Lamont card. Yeah, you want Lamont card because Lamont card gets you it gets you a 25% reduction on finishers and a 10% increase on finishers when the target's health is below 35%, and the 35% decreases when the reduction is just random. It's just any time it is. And the increase in damage on it is when the target's below 10% health. And then for the omega beams as well. For the omega beams, when using 8 superpowers, the finisher is then increased by 25%. With which on the second rotation, when you go on the second rotation, by that time, the omega beams would have gotten up to 8 superpowers. That indicates by indication it's green. And then you fire up a finisher, that's Sandblast. You fire up Sandblast, and then you get a 25% increase. And then when you fire up Omega Beam again, there's a 25% increase on the Omega Beam itself. And then that's when it's gold, and then you get and it's gold, and then you get the AOE damage in a 10% radius. So basically, that's all I've got for you today about the Omega Beam. It's about the Omega Beam. Or it's also about the loadout. But the loadout would actually do that separately, not talking about what the perks are. We'll just say this is the loadout and whatnot. Just so that'll be in a separate video if you're looking to get get a separate understanding on the loadout and a different understanding on the communication between each artifact that you've got set together, put on the loadout. So basically, that's it for today. Hope this really helps. One last time, shall we go and give you the rotation for the loadout? That guy's there. Let's do the rotation for loadout on AOE targets, so you can also see the AOE benefits of everything. So we're right here. Start Rumble Crush. Okay, let's go. Let's go. And it's green already. 25% increase on that. So after heat vision, you fire the Omega Beam. That's one rotation completes. You start all over from the beginning. Back to start over. You can go around like that. Go around like that. Go around like that. Rumble Crush. Alright. Heat vision. Omega's primed, and boom. That's it. Honestly, it'd be nice to have a look at what the numbers are. So let's see what we've got. 2 rotations of it, and I suppose it's set to after combat. So we've got 2 rotations of that, and let's see what the total damage is. So 2 rotations in about 46 seconds. In about 46 seconds of 2 rotations, we will come up to 11. I'm not ready to be alone.